Welcome to today's show. Today we talk about depression among teenagers. Many cases of drug addiction, many cases of suicide, many cases of disruptive social behavior among our teenagers. One of the causes of this is depression. And now today we have a psychologist here, Dr. Wango, senior lecturer, University of Nairobi. We have many cases of parents crying, complaining about teenagers, changing behavior, many issues. But one of those things which people always attribute this to is depression, and depression among teenagers. Why is depression among teenagers a critical issue, a big problem in our society today? That it was even before that?
For that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the way you put it. Why is it such a critical issue?
It's critical.
Yes, the critical issue among teenagers.
Yeah.
Quickly, why it may not have been in the more traditional
yes.
societies
Yeah.
is because perhaps there were lesser challenges than there are today. And you have pointed out 3 of them that could have taken over now. Because in the more traditional societies, life may not have been as fast moving. And it is possible that people could have been able to have several challenges in life and coped with them amicably, depending on what they were doing and the support of the family. But right now, it has changed. And I like the very aspect that you have put in.
Did I?
Yes. You actually mentioned suicide.
Yeah.
You actually
Because I realized that
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
The other week we were talking about depression among children.
Children, yes.
But now I realize that it is more critical.
Yes.
Teenagers,
Yes.
some teenagers are taking their lives.
Actually, when depression moves from children, it now moves to the aspect that you have mentioned, the suicide. It moves to drug dependency. It actually, and drugs and alcohol and substances of abuse. It actually moves to self-injurious behaviors,
Which includes suicide.
which can lead to suicide.
Suicide, yes. Yeah.
And then it also moves to other aspects like failure to attend class, simple, quick recklessness, and an aspect, very serious aspect in the family. By the way, depression in teenagers is very serious because it is reflected in 5 aspects. The first one is the family. You see, this teenage who is
A teenage within the context of the family.
Yes, who is depressed, is likely to be reckless. He doesn't.
So one of the signs that this teenager could be depressed
Yes.
is reckless.
He becomes reckless.
What will he do? Because parents want to to see
exactly.
these signs.
He may not even attend school, and even when he attends school, he does not attend to any aspect to do with his schoolwork.
So schoolwork and attendance,
Schoolwork,
and lack
yes.
of interest.
Lack of interest.
Yes.
Yeah, no interest at all in the schoolwork. Lack of interest in the family. You see, this is a teenage who will sit there and watch television the whole day, or is on the internet or online the whole day and the whole night, doing nothing. Because you see, depression comes with feelings of helplessness and disappointment and a purpose and lack of purpose for life.
Yes.
And this is why the person can sit there the whole day,
The whole night watching these things.
watching TV, watching programs, one video after another online, and the person doesn't even
So
sleep.
are you actually, Dr. Wango, flagging the issue of teenagers sitting and watching TV the whole night, the whole day?
Sitting
Sometimes.
aimlessly, or there's a difference between watching TV and being online and being on TV.
You know why I'm saying that is because, as parents, and I'm speaking as one of them.
Yes.
We would want, you are going to the market,
Yes.
you are going somewhere,
Yes.
you say, the child,
Yes.
let me put on the TV,
Yes.
and leave the child here with the TV.
Yes, I don't know.
We do
Yes,
that.
I don't know. You see, most parents want to do it as an escape route.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And you see, there is entertainment and there is depression. Depression is very different from entertainment.
Yes.
You see, a teenage who is depressed will even be online, even at 3, at 4, at 5,
AM.
online. Yes, the person is just there online because the person is trying to get something to do. But don't forget, depression can reach a point where the person is online, but they are not online. So they are not actually concentrating
So they are there,
on this.
but they are not actually
But they are
there.
not there. And that's why the sleeping and the lack of sleep, the eating and lack of eating are extreme cases. You see, depression is marked by extreme cases. That's why you see it reflected in even aspects like carefree, careless behaviors. The child has been home. The child doesn't. You cannot even tell where their clothes are. Okay.
Have you done your homework?
No. You have no homework. You cannot see which program
Where
you are
are your
watching.
socks?
Yes. You cannot clean your room. There is literally, depression has this no attribute of how I spent my time.
Yeah. They cannot even explain.
They cannot explain it.
Yeah.
And that's why you see it is reflected in personal life, it is reflected in school life, it is reflected in spiritual life. You see, this person has no hope and promise in life. You know, one of the most important things in life is hope. And the fact that you hope for a life and a future tomorrow. This person does not have any. So you see, depression, and that's why depression has signs of self-injurious behaviors and suicide. Because you see, the person actually starts feeling like life has no purpose, it has no meaning, so I don't need to be here. And that is why the drugs and alcohol
they
and
start
smoking
engaging. Yeah.
are also part of all this. Because the person is trying to find a meaning, but cannot.
But how will the parents then know if this child, suppose they don't know,
Yes.
this child is involved in that, drug abuse,
Yeah,
substance abuse,
Yes.
all those. So how will they know? Because, they need these symptoms too.
It is a combination of all this.
Yes.
That's why the parent, remember we have kept on emphasizing why as a parent you should be very close to your child. When you are close to your child, you can tell what your child is doing. Let me show you and you tell me whether I'm right.
Yes.
By the time a child enters Form 1, most parents, I do a lot of talks to parents.
About 13,
By Form
15
1,
years.
15
Yes.
years,
Yes.
14, 15,
Yeah.
the child doesn't have a lot of difficulties in Form 1. By the way, go to any school, you are a board member, I'm a board member in several, and you have been a teacher. Yeah. Form 1, you rarely have any discipline cases in Form 1. Everything is quiet. Why? The child is adjusting, the child is trying to get into the system. By the time the child is in Form 2, Form 3, the child picks on the peer pressure, another cause of disruption of the child. And as the child is disrupted, the child picks. When the child is depressed, the child picks on all these coping mechanisms. And that's why you notice that if you go to any school and there's a strike, it's most probably a child in Form 2, Form 3. Discipline cases, it is Form 2, Form 3.
Yes.
And that is when the child also starts reflecting poor performance. Remember the depression we talked about last week in children?
Yeah.
It starts peaking there. Why? When the child was, most probably, again, some of the child might even be in boarding school, and the child is also growing. In the younger years, the child got a lot of support from the parents and being close to the parent. But as you notice, by teenage ages, that is teenage, 13, 14, the child now want to deviate and move to the peer group. So you see now the child is also transiting. So the performance, the child was struggling with the performance because of the closeness to the parent.
Yeah.
But now the child is feeling I'm an adult and cognitively developing. Yes. And now the child can identify aspects that are disturbing them and start dealing with them. Now, this is where you're asking me about divorce last time, and I told you.
Yes, because you see, what are some of these precipitating factors?
Exactly.
Which will then make this teen think of,
Yes. But now come pick the same with the children. Pick the divorce and separation. Now this child now is a teenage.
Yeah, they
not
have
a
now
child.
grown. It's no longer a child. They can see.
So the child now feels, the child actually a teenage feels, there's something I should do about my parents' relationship. Yeah. But now I want you to hit the nail on the head. There is nothing the child can do because this is not his or her relationship.
True.
Exactly. So the child gets stuck, and the child
they want to do something they have
depressed.
No ability to do.
Exactly.
Yes.
That is it. The child actually gets completely stuck because as a teenage, you feel there's something you can do.
But yet you can't do anything.
Exactly. So the child becomes stuck, and that getting stuck causes the depression. And that's why the child now starts regressing. So even all this education that my parents told me about is false, because even what they have promised me is false. Now pick loss and grief that we talked about last time.
Yes.
Remember the child
A friend.
you told to sit
Yeah.
and do nothing and go and sleep. If a death and or loss
Has
occurs,
occurred.
when when the person is a teenager, I want you to be sincere. Mostly we hard with the children and we are comfortable with them when they are crying. The teenagers, nobody bothers with them, by the way.
They are lost because they
Exactly.
are neither children.
They are neither children
nor adults.
no
So
adults.
they are just lost in between.
I like that. The adults are involved in the funeral. The children are not involved because they are children.
Yes.
This is a teenage who is wondering, here I am. I can see what's going on. No one talks to you. Even one never talks to you. It's most unfortunate if you are the eldest. Now you are in charge now from now
Yeah,
on.
they will tell you now you are the one in charge.
You don't even know what you're in
This
charge
is a
of.
16 years, 17 years.
17 years, 18. Up to about 19, 20,
Yeah.
you don't even know what you're in charge of. No one tells you anything. And somehow you are completely lost in this world where you are neither a child nor an adult. No one talks. And you see now, that
is very critical.
exactly. And that is why the child gets lost. Let's pick one more. We have very good, we fixed the divorce and whatever. And I like the way you connected
Yeah.
with the depression. But now let's pick one more. What happens when the child is around 18, 16, 17, 18 years?
Yeah.
If you put the child at 17 and the mother was 20 or 22, so the mother could be 40. And then the father could be about 45, for 40 or 45. The parents are also undergoing midlife crisis.
Crisis there.
Exactly.
And these ones are also going.
Which they are
undergoing-
struggling with.
Yeah.
And these are teenagers here trying to fight his
Also,
way out,
identity
his or her way
issues
out,
and stuff,
identity
yeah.
issues, and there is no one paying attention
To them.
To them. And that's why teenage is a very difficult problem for any child. Because while you are struggling with all these things that you are waiting, excuse me, I was waiting for my dad or mother to be somewhere near here. Actually, they are struggling with their own things that they are wondering, what is your problem? Can you go to school? Can you do ABCD? And you get lost. And that is what makes the frustration and the disappointment in the child so bad. Because now, pick the schoolwork again. The parent is so busy. Remember,
And we get busy.
but pick the age. Pick the child 17, and you say the father married when he was 27. He is 44. So tell me what he's doing. He's trying to build a house,
Yes.
buy a
because-
car,
And even look for the school
pay
fees.
school
for
fees.
for this
So
child.
when you're telling him that this child is supposed to be in school, I go to school and I give talks to parents and they say, do you know what a 44 struggles with? So you are actually, the problem is not the teenage. The problem is half of the problems with teenagers is with the parents, because they actually neglect the children. And I'm trying to tell you in many words, teenage neglect is one of the causes of depression
in
in
teenage.
teenagers. And that's why they go now for the self-injurious behaviors. So the child now tries to look for themselves. By the way, in our country, self-injurious behaviors have become one of the major
Yeah,
concerns.
no, that is why it's very critical.
Yes, and I've done several talks in universities, and I was shocked, even the kind of poems and songs they are constructing on self-injurious behaviors. Because this is something, self-injurious behavior is not suicide. It is someone trying to harm themselves,
Yes.
to feel the pain, so that they can realize that they are there. So the child cuts for himself or herself. So that you see, by feeling that pain, you can alleviate yourself from the pain you are feeling inside. And this is the time maybe the child is also having difficulty with the several subjects. And at the same time, with identifying the self and the relationship. Let's not forget those things. Relationship. This boy has now found that there are some people called girls. And this girl is also finding that
They are now.
there are some people called
yeah,
boys,
yeah.
and they admire me. And I have to be careful, by the way, with these boys, because they can make me pregnant, and then they can lose my schooling. And if
And I can also be expelled from school for engaging in this.
And this boy is also learning that I can hide the drugs and whatever, but I can also be expelled if I am caught with them. So you can see why it's on one hand it's this way. And let's summarize it for the teenagers. I'm trying to progress on with life, but I'm learning that my life has breaks. I can't do everything I want
to
at the
move,
same time.
But I cannot move the way I want to.
Exactly, yes. It's
There
like,
are so many complications.
very
here
good.
and there.
It's like buying a new car, and actually you want to speed off, but there's traffic, and there's bad weather.
And there are traffic rules.
And there are traffic rules. And the teenage, no one comes now and tells, another cause of depression in young people, no one comes and tells the young person, excuse me, you need to organize yourself here. Yes, you've got your car, This is how to go about
But
it.
life goes like this.
And life goes on.
So, in short, what will then parents, because you
do.
see that you have just explained
Exactly.
the role of parents.
The role of parents.
What can parents do
Very good.
so that we help our young
People.
people, our teenagers,
Yes.
not to be in this kind of circumstance?
Very quickly, number one, I always like your program for one thing, the awareness. The awareness is perfect. If parents knew this and they are aware of this, it works magic. Why? They'll do something about it. What will they do? They'll talk to the teenage. If they cannot talk to the teenage, they'll have the teachers talking to the teenage. We do a lot of talks in schools, by the way. Shockingly, we do so many talks, or the teacher can start talking to them. Three, you have the churches and the mosques talking to the young people.
So, within different contexts.
Within different
the
contexts.
teenagers being handled,
Exactly.
whether it is in church, in school,
at
home, you know,
and
with
they
the
also bring
relatives
in
and
programs. And yes, and relatives who will also talk to these young people. And finally, five, you also guide them. You look at them, you guide them. You tell them, young person, here you are going out. This is what it means for you to go out. This is what it means when you don't go out. This is what it means for you to interact with so and so. And that guidance will assist the teenage
But
go
that
through
is
life.
good. You know, Dr. Wango, one of those things which I like is good because practically speaking, you know, parents have a lot of responsibility.
I agree.
But now they are looking for school fees.
Yes.
They are also looking for food for these children.
Yes.
They are looking for all those other things.
Yes.
Now, where will they create time for all these?
That is why I agree with you.
Yeah,
That's why
you
I did
know,
not give them
it's a
24 hours.
Yes.
The first thing I said was let them understand. Number two, I started dividing it. I said the teachers.
Yeah.
I went to different talks in schools. I went to the church and the mosque in different contexts talking to these young people. After that, I've gone to different programs for these young people. I've also gone to finding time whenever possible to talk to this young person. I'm not going to tell them to be the child 24/7. That is not possible. And by the way, it is a matter of looking for the time.
Yeah. Creating, as it were.
Creating time, yes, but also time in context.
Yeah.
Time in context. For instance, you are watching a program or you are going to buy pizza with a child, you can have a chat. Let the child ask you something, answer back. You are going shopping, you are going to the child, taking the child to school. These are opportunities that the parents should use to the maximum. Rather than, I'm just taking you to school. It can have a purpose.
What would you tell two groups of people? First of all, the parents, and then the teenagers themselves.
Parents.
Yes.
First of all, it's a blessing to have a child. Yes. And second, it is good for this child to go through their teenage with a lot of support. Yes. Give the support. And give the support where you can. And give the support in all the 5 ways. The physical, the spiritual, the psychological, the intellectual, and even the emotional. And then the teenagers. For me, the teenagers, it's one. Life is not a straight line. And it is important for you to understand that although you may think that your parents might seem hard on you, or the teachers seem hard on you, it is important for you to also understand that life has its complications. And these people are trying to guide you, listen to them, and follow their advice. And most of all, let God bless you and give you a great future.
I think that's a very good way of finishing this. Until next week, I think when we discuss again, this, you know, these things never end, really. So, viewer, until next week, when we tackle issues related with our social well-being, it is bye for now.